Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are really immersing ourselves in a whole stack of sources about Customer Service Week.
Right.
And that international thing happens every year, first full week of October. We're, specifically looking ahead to October 6th to 10th, 2025.
Yeah, that's the time frame. But our mission today, it goes way beyond just like ordering pizzas for the team, right?
Definitely.
We're trying to pull out the core strategic stuff. How can organizations really shift how they think about customer service?
Moving it from just one department's problem.
Exactly. From a cost center view to something that's baked into the entire company philosophy.
And the sources kick off with this really interesting challenge. They link how we recognize people or, well, how we don't directly to the business results. We talk about celebrating Customer Service Week, but lots of businesses are, frankly, failing at the basics of support.
Yeah, that's the tension.
The big one is if you don't have clear key performance indicators, KPIs, for service, the sources argue that failure to measure, that's exactly why some companies aren't breaking even.
Or why they can't hold on to their customers. It's that classic management saying, isn't it?
Can't manage what you don't measure.
Precisely. If service metrics aren't sitting right there alongside sales figures and reports, it just looks like overhead.
Like salaries, software, time.
Right, pure cost. And you completely miss the massive value it drives. Retention, loyalty, lifetime value, all that good stuff.
And this is where it gets a bit darker, maybe. This failure often exposes something deeper.
A kind of cultural rot.
Yeah.
We see when organizations don't budget for recognizing great care, or worse, they tolerate toxic environments.
Okay, let's unpack that. The invisible enemy, as the sources call it. They draw a really direct line between internal toxicity and what the customer experiences. So if the frontline staff are just symptoms, like you said, how do leaders spot that root problem before it spills out onto customers?
You have to look at the trickle-down effect.
Yeah.
The sources describe this vicious cycle.
Okay.
You fail to reward the good stuff, the excellent service, and maybe you also have a toxic workplace.
Compounding the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that toxicity, often it comes from, well, an abusive boss or a supervisor who's just unprofessional. That negativity, it inevitably trickles down.
Right.
The employee who's dealing with disrespect internally, they can't just magically flip a switch and be this super empathetic, amazing service person externally. It doesn't work like that.
So that rude receptionist or the, arrogant person on the phone, they might not be the core problem. They're reflecting something systemic.
That's the shift in thinking we need. And the sources give some pretty raw examples, like personal experience of managers just casually dropping the F-bomb all the time in sales meetings.
Wow, okay.
That kind of casual, abrasive talk, it poisons the well internally. It basically tells everyone, results matter more than how we treat each other.
And once you normalize that internally, the bar for customer interactions drops incredibly low.
You got it. And it's not just internal. The sources link this to external examples too, like mentioning reps at certain Ugandan banks' helplines.
What about them?
Apparently needing refresher courses because their arrogance is an understatement.
Yeah.
It's that same pattern.
So, bad internal culture, bad external service. Different places, same root cause.
It seems to be a global pattern, yeah. Management failing to model the right behavior if managers aren't coached on empathy, communication, basic professional standards.
Then the front line won't have the motivation or maybe even the emotional capacity to deliver it.
Exactly. So the fix isn't just better scripts, it's about elevating the whole idea of customer service, getting it talked about right across the business, from boardroom to operations to frontline.
Which leads us nicely into the next big idea. Making service a genuine boardroom priority. This isn't just tinkering, it's a fundamental philosophy shift. Moving service from that department over there to something that guides how all teams think, act, and grow.
And for that philosophy to actually mean something, it needs teeth. It has to be measurable, reportable, right up to the top level.
Okay.
The sources are crystal clear on this. Service metrics, your net promoter score, retention rates, how fast you resolve things, complaints.
The key stuff.
All of it. It needs to be presented right alongside sales and profit figures in every single management review. No exceptions.
Why is that so critical, though? Putting NPS next to revenue. Executives focus on the bottom line. Why make them look at softer stuff like loyalty?
Because profit and sales, those are lagging indicators. They tell you what already happened.
Oh, okay.
Retention, NPS, customer satisfaction, those are leading indicators. They give you a clue about what's going to happen next quarter, next year.
So if retention dips today,
Profit dips tomorrow. Simple as that. Putting them side by side forces the board to see service not as an expense line, but as, like, a health check for future revenue.
Turns it from reactive firefighting into actual strategic planning.
You got it. Strategic foresight.
Okay, this next part feels really practical. Making the customer real for everyone, not just the service team.
Yeah, this is crucial.
The sources talk about telling customer stories, sharing the feedback, good and bad, across all departments.
So the finance team hears about the delivery issue. The product developers hear the actual pain points customers are experiencing directly.
Builds ownership, right?
Totally. And it needs structure. Leadership sets the vision. Managers turn it into action plans. Frontline staff live it every day.
And critically, that feedback loop has to close.
Yes. If logistics keeps getting complaints, that info doesn't just stay with customer service. It goes back to logistics to fix the process.
So service insights improve everything else: product, marketing, operations.
Makes the whole business accountable.
Which brings us to accountability at the top. You know, some execs might think spending time on the front line is beneath them or inefficient.
The sources push back hard on that. Senior managers have to lead by example, spend actual time with customers.
How much time are we talking?
It doesn't have to be weeks. The sources say even a few hours can totally change the conversation back in the boardroom.
Why? What changes?
It replaces abstract data with real human experience. Empathy. When an exec personally feels the frustration of a glitchy app or slow service.
They're more likely to prioritize fixing it.
Exactly. It makes the commitment feel real, not just some words in a mission statement. It moves beyond spreadsheets.
Okay, so that leads into demonstrating commitment. Showing, not just telling, both inside the company and out. How do you show it internally, especially if budgets are tight?
It's about embedding it.
Right.
The culture, the mission, how meetings are run, how people are rewarded. It's about training, sure, but also empowerment.
Trusting people.
Yeah, trusting your teams to fix problems quickly, on the spot, without needing 5 levels of approval for a small refund.
Makes sense.
And the sources have this great example of leadership commitment through just watching.
Ah, the manager and the van salesman story. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So this manager set up a schedule to actually go out in the field with their van sales team.
Not just looking at sales reports back at the office.
Right. They watched how the salesperson handled the very first interaction with a customer, how they engaged, how they dealt with issues that popped up.
What was the big insight?
The manager realized you learn a lot as a business just by observing the execution of service, not the summary, the actual interaction.
That direct observation.
Yeah.
It builds credibility, shows you care about the how, not just the what.
And it flags training needs immediately. Very powerful.
So that's the internal piece: observing, owning, empowering. How does that translate so the customer actually feels it externally?
Well, there are the basics. Respond fast, take ownership when things go wrong, personalize interactions. That's table stakes now.
But the best companies go further.
They shift into proactive mode. The sources mention things like sharing stock availability updates regularly, or sending a simple thank message every week.
That's interesting. That's acting before the customer even thinks to ask.
Exactly. That's the goal. The principle is act before they ask for it. Get ahead of them.
Moves you out of just reacting to complaints.
And into actively building loyalty. You anticipate needs, you provide solutions preemptively, you make yourself indispensable, not just adequate.
Okay, so if that's the gold standard, continuous, measured, proactive service, let's wrap up with the recipe for success. How do you actually embed this level of excellence so it becomes the norm, the way of life?
It really comes down to consistent actions, shared values, and leaders constantly setting the right tone. The sources pull together 6 key steps that successful teams use.
Okay, let's run through these. These feel like the core takeaways for anyone listening.
All right, first, lead from the top. Leaders have to walk the talk. They need to visibly listen, respond, show they value feedback. If the CEO ignores customer emails, why should anyone else care?
Good point. Number 2.
Define excellent. Be specific. Set clear standards for tone, speed, empathy. Across all channels, excellence isn't just a vague goal, it's a measurable standard.
Okay.
Third, communicate the why. Use those metrics we talked about, NPS, retention, to show everyone how great service drives loyalty, trust, long-term growth. People need to understand why it matters.
Helps get buy-in. Makes sense. 4th.
Empower and equip teams. This means ongoing, realistic training, but also critically trusting employees. Let them make decisions to solve customer problems fast. Cut the red tape.
Less escalation, faster resolution.
Yeah.
Okay, 5th.
Recognize and reward. This is where Customer Service Week can have lasting impact if done right. Celebrate those moments of exceptional service. Recognition, as the sources say, spreads the culture faster than reminders.
So shouting out the wins is key. And the last one, number 6.
Measure and share progress. Use real customer feedback. Those stories, those metrics, track how things are improving and share that widely. It inspires continuous learning for everyone.
What strikes me is how this framework takes service from being like an HR checklist item and makes it the actual daily operating system for the business, a complete cultural shift based on real data.
And when service truly becomes everyone's job, when that culture is alive from top to bottom, customer loyalty isn't just luck anymore.
It becomes a competitive advantage.
That's the ultimate payoff. That's the strategic goal here.
So we've journeyed from spotting internal toxicity, like that abusive boss scenario, all the way to building proactive strategies that create real competitive edge. The big takeaway really is that shift. Service isn't a department, it's a culture, a way of life for the business.
Which brings us to one final thought for you, the listener, building on that idea of proactive service.
Okay.
If the best companies get ahead by acting before the customer asks, like sharing stock info or fixing potential problems, early, think about this. What's one crucial piece of information your organization already has about its customers that you could proactively share or act on this week? Something you could do without waiting for the next complaint or question.
That's a great challenge. What's that one proactive step you could take right now?
Food for thought.